The rotors spin to a stop. The hatchway swings to the ground. And the man with the most powerful job on Earth steps into view.
Nobody else gets to do this. Nobody else in the entire world gets to transport heads of state like we do.
When the President of the United States flies from the White House, he travels only in an unmistakable green and white aircraft.
200 feet, 60 knots, 3/4 of a mile away. All you really see are the White House, the fountains, and you know this is it.
There's no room for failure, there's no room for incompetence, both mechanical and human.
Journey behind the scenes into a top-secret world few have ever seen. Fly on board Marine One. The President is on the move. The President is always on the move. Wherever the Commander-in-Chief needs to travel, a Marine Corps helicopter is always standing by.
The situation dictates that it's better for the President to travel on a helicopter. We're going to be ready.
Today, a squadron of Marine helos are deploying to meet the President at a school in New Jersey. The mission is a routine lift. But that routine calls for men and material in force. Aircraft must be kept fully fueled. Counter-assault teams lock down the landing zone. Communications link with the Secret Service and air traffic.
It's just not as simple as just flying to the backyard of the White House and picking up the President and bringing him someplace. Anything can change the dynamics of that flight. Anything can change the mission.
Radio, I'll just give you a thumbs up for the tail clear call.
At any time, the Marines can deploy the same in-depth support anywhere on Earth.
It's a global mission. I mean, it's not just the White House lawn to Andrews Air Force Base or White House lawn to Camp David. It's a global mission. It could be in the backyard of Windsor Castle. It could be a palace in the Netherlands, which means we either have to get there before he does or be in place right when he gets there.
Insert magazine. Make ready. Check your six. Holster. Insert weapon with clearing barrel. Sure weapon is unsafe. Weapon is clear.
Only one unit in the United States Armed Forces is entrusted with this mission.
Flashlight, radio. Anything to take care of?
Their headquarters are here. A tightly guarded airfield. A high-security facility inside Marine Corps Base Quantico. 30 miles south of Washington, D.C., on the banks of the Potomac. Quantico is home to the helicopters known as Marine One, and the hand-picked team of technicians, specialists, and pilots who fly the President of the United States. HMX-1, Marine Helicopter Squadron 1.
HMX-1 is a special entity within the Marine Corps because of the job that we've got. My predecessor said it best in that we aren't a bunch of special Marines doing an average mission. We are a bunch of average Marines doing a very special mission.
No one at HMX-1 understands the duties and demands of that special mission better than Marine One's primary pilot, Colonel Raymond F. LaRue. His call sign, Frenchie. Even the President calls him the Frenchman. More than a pilot, the Colonel also serves as HMX-1's commander.
Once Air Force One pulls into the chocks, he's on the T.
With over 700 men and women at his command, Colonel LaRue runs the largest aviation squadron in the Marine Corps and one of the most complex.
In 3 and 4, you've got to spin and get to the tail of Air Force One in most expeditionary fashion and then shut your rotors down. We are Marines. And what does that mean? We grow Marines with an ethos of we can do anything. And keep throwing walls in my way, we're not going to back off that wall. We're going to find a way to go around it. And that's not just me, that's every Marine.
Marine One is not a single helicopter. Flying the President calls for an entire fleet. 35 aircraft, 4 entirely different models. 2 cargo copters handle support functions. The twin-rotor Sea Knight, often called the Frog, and the 16-ton Super Stallion. The pride of the squadron lives here, in a high-security hangar known as the Cage. These are the specially outfitted presidential helicopters the Marines call White Tops. The icon of the presidential fleet is the VH-3D, the Sikorsky Sea King, a helicopter that first entered service over 40 years ago.
The VH-3D is kind of the nostalgic presidential helicopter. That's the one that most people associate with the South Lawn or trips to the major cities with the president coming off, walking down the stairs.
With 2 turboshaft engines, these birds cruise at up to 150 miles an hour. The Sea Kings of HMX boast an outstanding flight record. Never once has Marine One suffered a mishap.
These are the most maintained helicopters in the entire world, by far. You will not see a better maintained helicopter anywhere.
They fly like a dream. They're very smooth. They're quiet inside. So quiet, in fact, that the president can carry on a conversation in a normal tone of voice, which is very unusual for a helicopter, for it to be that quiet in the back.
When the VH-3 flies an executive lift, the crew numbers just 3 Marines: pilot, co-pilot, and crew chief. Over 70 feet long, the helicopter has room for 12 passengers, including the Secret Service, and a special seat for the Commander-in-Chief.
251, short about 8260 and contact near approach 1324.
These are very unique aircraft. The communication suite that has to go on board, for all intents and purposes, it's a flying Oval Office to some degree.
Search count 320 is 9.78 thousand.
You also have to imagine that if you are flying the President of the United States around in an aircraft as low flying as, say, a helicopter, that there's other entities that have to go into flying that platform.
Those entities include sophisticated defenses to protect the President. DoD restrictions keep Marine One's features top secret. However, similar combat aircraft carry sensors to detect laser and radar tracking, electronic shielding, and onboard anti-missile systems.
I'm not going to really specifically discuss any of the aviation or aircraft survival equipment on board, but in the event that there is a problem that maybe we require support with, there are aircraft and assets on standby.
Okay, any questions on the sequence events in the
70 of the finest battle-tested aviators in the Corps are assigned to HMX.
1 flight is clear, 13 right register.
After 3 years of rigorous training, 4 pilots will be tapped to serve 1 year at the controls of Marine One.
And I picked those pilots based on their capacity to make decisions, their capacity to handle situations when things aren't going as smoothly as they could. But it's certainly a complex decision. It's not one that's made easy, and it's one that I look very, very carefully at.
Flying Marine One may be the goal for these pilots, but for every Marine at HMX, the mission goes beyond supporting the President. It begins with the toughest test in military aviation. Flying warriors into the heat of battle. The same Marines that fly into the White House also fly into combat. HMX-1 was established in 1947 as the Marine Corps' first ever helicopter squadron. The unit was commissioned to develop battlefield tactics for rotary winged aircraft, helicopters. Today at Quantico, HMX helos are dropping an assault team by fast rope. The mission is a training sortie. But the flight crews of HMX know the life or death stakes of the battlefield firsthand.
I would say almost 100% of the mechanics and the pilots that we're getting out of the fleet right now are combat vets. Some have done probably 3-4 tours of combat in Iraq, Afghanistan, and also the Horn of Africa.
After coming to Quantico, helicopter crews maintain their edge by flying tactical support for Marines in training. Racing heliborne strike teams into the zone hones pilot skills and judgment.
We don't take lightly at all the fact that we put 12 Marines in the back of our aircraft on a daily basis. Those are our precious cargo. We take them where they need to go. We let them out the back and they do what they need to do.
My combat experience, it really just brought confidence to this job. It makes you relax a little bit more. It makes you understand the gravity of what you're doing here as far as doing your job under tough circumstances.
Getting in and out, fast and safe, that's the goal for these Marine pilots. Whether flying warriors into combat or taking the Commander-in-Chief to the White House.
Here we go, nose it over, looks clear up the river.
And clear to the left. Ground speed's 36 and you're coming down through 150.
But transporting the President calls for more than just battlefield instincts.
NG's on the rise.
All right, I got the water tower in sight. I'll go ahead and make my turn.
Roger.
Would-be Marine One pilot, Major Sean Quigley, is about to land on the White House lawn. At the controls of a computerized, virtual Marine One.
Pressure looking good over the ellipse, and looks like your airspeed's matched up, and you're coming down through 70 feet.
I'm flattered that I was chosen, and I only hope that I can continue to perform in a way that instills confidence in the commanding officer so that I can continue to safely transport the most important man in the world from point A to point B when I'm supposed to.
Transmission, all press and temp are in the green.
All right, I'm making my turn.
Roger.
From crosswinds on the South Lawn to the narrow piers of Manhattan's Wall Street heliport, the simulator can replicate various key landing zones.
All right, we got heat up and on?
It is on.
Power back, one back.
Power back, one back.
We spend a total of 6 weeks immersed in learning the various missions that we fly. We call that saturation training.
I want to pass the monument here, about 200 feet, 60 knots.
I'm only showing you pulling about 92% torque.
All right, let's get landing checks.
After 3 years of rigorous training, Quigley is on the brink of qualifying to fly the President.
Ground speed's 13 knots. Keep coming forward, and your tail's clear left.
Out of 70 pilots in the unit, only a handful get this far.
Oh, man. That chip detector, that's not too good.
Only 4 make it to Marine One.
All right, there's 30 feet, and tail's clear left. All right, coming down through 15 feet. Working on your tail. There's your tail, mains. Lineup looks good. Keep coming forward. Down 5, 3, 2, 1, and brakes, brakes, brakes.
Got him.
Touchdown.
Okay.
Handle set, parking brake is set.
Time for Quigley to learn if he's passed his latest exam.
Okay, that was real good. I like the crew coordination on that thing.
Thumbs up.
I think remember 2 is in an ATOS.
Next test for the prospective Marine One pilot, landing on the actual South Lawn.
But either case, it's your call as the aircraft commander. Good job.
Okay, all right, thank you.
pilots are not the only crew members held to a standard of presidential perfection.
You want to fly the president, you're not going to look unprofessional. You're going to open the door in a professional manner, you're going to make your turns in a professional manner. It's got to be dead on.
Sergeant Nicholas Green is a Marine One crew chief. Part color guard, part ground crew. The crew chief handles the hatches, safety, and ceremony on every presidential lift.
It's a large weight on your shoulders. You definitely have a lot to stand up for when you're in front of that helicopter. You take 6 steps out, pivot, walk all the way to the back. Make it look good.